Well, good morning, sports fans. It's and backcountry flying Idaho fishing fans. We're at McCall, and today's going to try to be a good day. Try to be a big day. Got a lot of things I want to film for you. This morning we're going to head over to Big Creek, pick up a couple of fishermen, and go down to Cabin Creek. And I want to talk to you about Cabin Creek. It's not just a U.S. Forest Service airstrip in the back of the Idaho country. It's got more history than that. And the history in Idaho, and especially the backcountry and the people that lived along the waterways and the drainages in Idaho, is fascinating. And it's there for you to read about if you so care to do so. Fascinating history. And I'm going to try to tell you a little bit of that today on Cabin Creek. And also this time, instead of like Moose Creek, I'm going to try to catch more fish, and I'm going to try to actually photograph the event. So I hope you're with me today. I hope you're having a great day, and here we go. God bless.
Ontario traffic, Skyhawk 90 Papa, turning left, crossing runway 15,
We're heading
Ontario.
up Lick Creek. That's right, L-I-C-K, Lick Creek. Education in the Idaho backcountry is all about learning the drainages. Learn your rules of thumb, how to stay out of trouble.
Ontario traffic, Skyhawk 90 Papa, turning downwind, left downwind, runway 15.
This morning we're going to go over to
Backcountry traffic, station here, 66 Zulu is Yellow Pine, 9,500, stand.
Go up to 8,500 feet. We're going up Lick Creek, and the pass is over here. And then we're going to go to Crassel. These are just turn points, waypoints.
Chrysler, Travis Spelling, 182 Papa X-ray, 9,000 eastbound to Johnson.
Creek. Then we'll go up Profile Pass, drop over Profile Pass, and go into Big Creek, where I'm going to pick up two men that want to go fishing. I assume they're men. I don't know. Better be. Or else don't tell the wife. No. I know they're fishermen. Backcountry traffic, Skywagon 55 Yankee profile pass for Big Creek. Easy for me to say. All right, we're back to 12 inches now. We got the pass made. Dropping in on the other side. Beautiful country. Beautiful country. You get a chance to fly in Idaho, please do so. But once again, going to bring your airplane up here. Get some training. The place to go look for that is on the Idaho Aviation Association website. And they've got lots of instructors with lots of experience, ready and willing to fly with you and your
Backcountry traffic, station here, 66 Zulu is 4 North Bernard, 95%.
that's required to safely operate back here. Don't try it on your own.
Backcountry traffic, Bonanza 02 November, off South Creek, en route to Idaho
Half the
Falls.
fun is getting training. I mean, continue to learn. If you're not still learning and you're flying an airplane, you need to hang it up. Some guys come up here from the north and just fly the drainage in, do a straight in, and the conflict will occur on base to final for the traffic coming in from the south versus traffic straight in from the north. So standard operating procedures. You can also find those on the Idaho Aviation Association website. So educate yourself before you do this. Beautiful, nice and calm. I'm going to assume the windsock is pretty well limp right now, but we'll get another look at it. The one thing about being at pattern altitude on the Hogback and Big Creek is you can't see the windsock. Typically, it's dead calm in here this time of the day, so we're going to go with that premise. 5 Yankee, left downwind, landing upstream, Big Creek. Alright, so back. We're going to Canyon
Winds
Street.
are calm.
Thank you, sir. So that's Jim Davies just piped up with the radio from Big Creek Lodge and said the winds are calm. So I thought they would be calm, and they are. So here we go. Ah, this is gorgeous. Canyon speed, 90 miles an hour, flaps 10. This is not a 737. Okay. What we do is we pull out here to the right and get against the canyon wall. Give ourselves turning room. Turning room available versus turning room required. Hey, where did I hear that before? Righty. Pre-landing check. Complete. There's a hog back out to the left there. As you can see, there's no runway in sight. And we'll go nose up and 20 degrees of flaps. 5 Yankee, left base, landing upstream, Big Creek. Right here is where the conflict is with people coming straight in upstream. And a wing over, take a look. Around the corner we go. Flaps to 30. And it's an uphill landing, so you don't have to get crazy about this thing. You're going to have to add power to get off it. We'll drift on down. A lot of times I don't even use 40, flaps 40 on this thing because it's big, long, and uphill. Trim. Secret Flying Cessna 180 is trimming it.
Hotel's over Big Creek at 9,000 per McCall.
Whoop-de-doos. Here we are. All right, now we're rolling out uphill. Flaps are up. All the way to the top. Pick up my passengers and we'll go. It's rolling.
Yeah, that'd be fine. No, just Middle Fork River tours I prefer, but they're, anyway.
You just do what you want to do normally. You guys are stout. You've been eating too many of Sally's pancakes. All right. So anyway, we're headed to...
yeah, I think it's going to be south of all that out on the...
Turn this guy down here. We can find it, but there's nothing wrong with putting a little navigation data in.
Cool.
All right, everybody ready? 4. Wave goodbye to all your fans. You guys did eat a big breakfast. Ah, we're airborne. Pulling the prop back. 5 Yankee airborne out of Big Creek and headed downstream. Nice thing about going downhill is you can use that gravity to accelerate the airplane, get your speed up. Going to follow the rules of the road for flying in the canyons. We're going to stay to the right. And That way somebody doing the wrong procedure in here, we won't meet them. Another thing you can do is turn on your landing lights. I don't think there's many people back here today. So Cabot Creek is 4,200 feet, and we took off at 5,700 feet, so guess what? We don't have to go down very far. We don't have to climb very high, excuse me. So, power's coming back, and all back. Props on course, 2,300 RPM, and we are airborne. So is this your first time into Big Creek?
Yeah. Yeah. First
Okay.
time.
Where are you guys from? Where you guys come from?
Indianapolis and Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh yeah, so you're used to mountains.
Yeah, three of us grew up from the group. Three of us grew up in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh, Moscow. Okay. Did you get an education there too?
Yep.
Okay. I mean a real education.
Bachelor's and master's.
There you go. What's your subject?
English.
Oh, you'll help us today communicate better. Okay.
So did you get trained in the military?
I did. Uncle Sugar trained me. Trained me to go kill people.
Air Force?
Air Force, yeah.
Right.
I got in just, started my active duty just after the Vietnam War ended.
6 Victor's over Hoodoo.
And I served my last year just as the Iraq War was raging.
Okay, so you retired.
I retired back in '92.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Now this would almost be called, oh, there's one of the airports. Look at that. There's a landing strip right there. You see it? That's a landing strip.
Oh yeah, yep.
I think that's Dewey. And then there's one up on here, up on the side of the hills called Mile High, which is, hey, it's your airplane, your insurance policy. Not for me. This airplane will never go into those things. There's another one down in the bottom called Vines. I think Jim's been to Vines. He might have been to Dewey also, but Jim's been doing this a lot more than me. His airplane is more STOL capable than mine. He's lighter, a little more power to weight ratio in his because of the weight he's lifting, and he's got a little bit more powerful engine than I do. Because I know that man will cheat to win. You're not cheating, you're not trying. So I'm going to watch you guys cheat these trout this morning. All right, so there we go. Getting close there. See that runway down there? You see it on the right side? Yeah. That's another one of the Big Creek airports that don't get a lot of action because that one's, I think that's Vines. And see, they're not even on the map. The Forest Service has been trying to get rid of them for years, and the Idaho Aviation Association has been saying, nope, those are emergency strips at least, so do not touch them. And, you know, we have a little food fight at our meetings, and after a while we all shake hands and try to get on the same page.
Oh, this looks really like good water right here.
All right. Don't take the first pass at it now.
No, I'm excited.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to canyon speed in here so you can look the place over. There's the airport. Excuse me, there's the airstrip. So everything's going to be out the right here for you guys. Field elevation is 42, so we're looking good here. So look. This, if you go left, you would come down here.
Yeah, okay.
It all looks like good water, but you got to find, you know, that spot.
Yeah, I know.
You guys know what I'm talking about. So we'll go up and over the hill here.
Yeah, we want to see the darker green.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're upstream.
I think there's a pool up again. There, see that? To your right, correct?
That's Cave Creek. Off the right wingtip is Cave Creek coming down into the
Oh, okay.
into Big Creek. So there's a possible food source there. And this is Vinegar Hill. Where the Indians, sheep eaters, they ran the federal troops up the hill, and they left their pack trains at the bottom because the Indians were throwing lead at them. And they spent the whole afternoon up on the top of that with no water. So they were not happy. All right, we're going to go check out our landing strip now. So there were five homesteads in here. And about 620 acres. And that all got deeded back to the Forest Service in 1974. There's the airstrip off to the left. There was a lodge in here, and a barn, and a hangar, and outbuildings, all this stuff. Back when it was a guest ranch and a recreational purpose. It no longer was subsistence living and homesteading. All right, so there is the airstrip. Nobody's on it. There's one airplane parked. The windsock pretty much dead, so we'll go shoot our pattern. This is what they call a one-way airport, one-way airstrip. So you turn where there's turning room available. That's how it works back in the backcountry. So we're going to go out here over the creek and make a U-turn. When the altitude's about right. Touchdown zone's 4,200. We're coming through 47 right now. Give a little bit of jostling from some wind current drag. All right, we're headed in. Flaps 30. And we're by the rock formation at 4,500. We're looking good. And we're going to go flaps 40. Welcome to Cabin Creek. These black things you see across the runway, these are erosion strips. Keep the water from Cow Creek. This is Cow Creek. Keep the water from Cow Creek that overflows. And from rain, from eroding the airport, or the landing surface away. stop and we'll turn around, and this is how we get out of here. So there's the turn. And I'm going to go ahead and shut off my wing camera now. Just like you thought it would be, right?
Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you.
We're not done. But thank you. All right. Get down here and I'll turn you guys loose and I'll secure the airplane, and I got to get my stuff on it, and I'll be doing some filming.
What are you filming for?
I'm going to do a little chronicle the history of Cabin Creek.
You can see the traffic at Cabin Creek. It's horrendous, and there's a 180 parked over here, and that's the one we all know and love. But there's some people who've been here a week or two camping, and guess what? They're from Alabama. Where? Anyway.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. There we go. Sir, how long have you been coming in here with the wife?
About 33 years.
Holy cow! You must now. Are you homesteading?
I'm hoping one day they'll consider that.
Well, tell you what, they've already considered it, and Rex Lanham is a name you've heard before, and he gave it up in 1974. Started out as a subsistence, living down here with the Caswell brothers, and I'll go into the history a little bit more, but I want to talk to this gentleman about, what's your name, sir?
Danny Stevens.
Danny and?
Linda.
Linda, pleasure to meet you. I'm Jim Kimmel.
Nice to meet you, Jim.
Now, Danny, you've been coming in here for 30 years, and in the early 80s is when Rex Lanham had already sold the property. It had been gone for since 1974, returned to the Forest Service. And Rex Lanham came in here and he started a guest ranch operation. It was for recreational purposes, and he flew in customers. So he used a bulldozer. Now, the story of how he got the bulldozer here, we don't know right now. And
I believe he walked it down the creek when the creek was low.
There you go.
From Big Creek.
There you go, folks. That's a story you don't hear much in the lower 48, other than Idaho, is they walked the bulldozer down the creek. That you don't see that very much. So, Danny, what happened to that bulldozer?
Well, I think minds that were wiser than ours decided it needed to go, and it was going to be difficult to get it out of here. So they drove it up over here. It dug its own grave. They drove it in, shut it down, and buried it. And it's still over there today.
It's still there today. You know, they shut down the Seminole Ranch. They couldn't make a go out of that at Moose Creek.
Mm-hmm.
That had a nice set of buildings there, and they have a big barn out back. That also has a Caterpillar in it.
Right.
I don't know if it's still there or not. But basically, I'll get into that with the history of Cabin Creek. You've been here how long on this trip?
Oh, we're here overnight.
But
we've been out west for, this is our third week. Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The best use of hydrocarbons possible, right, Danny?
That's it.
So what do you know about a recent aircraft accident up here?
The ranger was telling us that a plane crashed up here. I think he was coming into land at Cabin Creek. The winds were real strong. He tried to do a go around and didn't make it. About 3 miles up here, he crashed. He was okay, but the plane was essentially destroyed.
Yeah.
And they had another one the week before it up at
Yellow Pine?
Mile High.
Mile High.
Well, now, Danny, who in their right mind goes to Mile High? We won't. Don't answer that question.
That's a
Don't
loaded
answer that
question.
question.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, some people like challenges, and in the United States, you have choices. So that's and some of them, and all of them have consequences, right?
Right.
Okay. So I saw that flash of whatever it is. That's not 3 miles up here. Maybe a half a mile.
Yeah, I don't know. The ranger was telling us that.
Well, you know how rangers exaggerate. I might just walk up there, Danny.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You guys leaving today?
Yeah, we are.
Now, where are you headed?
Maybe to Soldier Bar.
Look at you. You're going that far, huh?
What, all of 5 miles?
Danny and Linda, safe travels. God bless you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Thank you.
Here we are at the bulletin board. See if there's anything important we need to know. There you go. No shooting on airstrips. You can't get more specific than that. I think we need a little respect. Here you go, Danny and Linda. And they're headed near 206 to a place called Soldier Bar. That's the sound of freedom. There they go. Here we are parked at Cabin Creek. You can see we're surrounded by high terrain. The runway goes up that direction, up the hill. We're down here in a kind of an informal parking area. But the weeds down here are 2 feet high, so you got to pick your spot carefully. And I advise before you turn off the airstrip that you walk the grounds. Make sure you're not putting your wheel in a hole somewhere. So anyway, a lot of people just know Cabin Creek is another U.S. Forest Service backcountry airstrip. An airstrip that is maintained by the Forest Service and the Idaho Aviation Association to support recreational use and, of course, the Forest Service use. Cabin Creek is much more than a backcountry airstrip, and it has a fascinating history. Its name comes from the drainage running through it, and the drainage is where you see these trees running here. You can hear the Cabin Creek from here.
Can you hear me?
And drainage comes down through here. A lot of times you'll hear about Cow Creek when you talk to about Cabin Creek. And Cow Creek comes down over here, and if it floods, it could take out the airstrip. But of course, the Forest Service does their best to keep this thing going. The erosion strips are over here. We flew over them when we came in here. One windsock down at the bottom of the hill. Runway goes uphill, makes a little fish hook to the right at the top. You go up there and turn around and prepare for launch when you're ready to go. But you can see the strip here. Call it average. You see the ruts in it. It's not too bad on the erosion. But these water strips here are to take the water running downhill and divert it to the side. It'll give you a little thump, and you know, it's not the smoothest thing around, but it's not bad. But as you can see ahead, it's a no-go around airport. Excuse me, airstrip. This whole enclave in the wilderness area for a while until 1974 when it went back to the Forest Service. This whole enclave in here is up the drainage, Cabin Creek drainage, right up going that way, and surrounded by high terrain. In the distance at the bottom, that's the south side of Big Creek. Okay, so this little enclave in here, at the bottom of it, the southern portion, was arable land. They raised crops there. Up here in the top, probably ran cattle. But there were 4 or 5 holdings up here. People tried to homestead, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But the first known occupants of Cabin Creek, and what they didn't call it Cabin Creek back in those days, they called it Elkhorn Ranch. And the first known occupants were the Caswell brothers. And they made a living by trapping, saddle making, selling hides, and prospecting for gold. And their holding was down by Big Creek, not this far up. After the Caswells made their big strike in 1901, they sold out to the Conyers in 1901, and the ranch and several adjacent homestead holdings changed hands several times before the Wallaces and the Hollenbecks sold out to the Powerline Construction Company of Pocatello, Idaho in 1953. One of the executives of that company was Rex Lanham, and he saw the potential here for a recreation ranch, a guest ranch. So he bought his company out, and he purchased the last holding from Hollenbeck, and basically he became the sole proprietor, sole owner of 620 acres right back up here. See the high terrain. I'm walking to the south. You can see some terracing along the side of that. The people did try to put in some irrigation. So man has scratched on this soil. Anglos have scratched on this soil since about 1900 with the Caswell brothers' arrival. But then Rex Lanham, he owned the whole thing by 1953. And this airstrip was in use in the 1930s. I believe if you read Bound for the Backcountry by Richard Holm, excellent reading for anybody interested in coming up to Idaho. Read that book. It's a fascinating book. But this thing was opened up earlier. I think in the Upper Meadow, they had an evacuation out of here by airplane in the early 30s. And then they said, well, let's put an airstrip in because that's the way to get to people in the backcountry. So they did. And several other holdings back here on in the backcountry, in the Middle Fork of the Salmon and the Big Creek, Johnson Creek, all those places started putting in airports on any available land they had. So Rex Lanham turned this place into a guest ranch. Looking for the trail here. Here we are at the bottom. Pretty much the bottom. There's the trail. And I see a couple of cabins ahead, and we'll talk about those in a second. He turned it into a guest ranch for recreational use. He built more buildings to house his guests. The runway was put in during the Wallace ownership in the 30s. And so in 1990, after this land was acquired back by the Forest Service from Rex Lanham in 74, 1990 they applied to the National Register of Historic Places, and I believe Cabin Creek Ranch is part of the historic places now. So modern buildings, materials such as concrete, metal roofing, finished lumber, and large glass windows were all flown into this airstrip. All flown into this airstrip. And that drastically altered the native folk architecture. And because of this, those buildings many of them were moved or destroyed in place. And the ranch, when the ranch returned to the wilderness in 1974, it took them several years. You saw the interview with Danny and Linda. They said that bulldozer sat across Cabin Creek on a little bridge right down here somewhere, right here at the bottom, with a strip. If the strip went that far, we'd go into the creek. There's a little bridge across there. The bulldozer sat in a little cabin, a little shed down there for years until the early 80s, and then they marched it up the hill here and made it dig its own grave. And the bulldozer is up at the top, not up at the top, but right there at the parking area, right in there somewhere it's buried. There's only two buildings left, and we're going to walk down to them right now. One is a cabin built by Wallace in the 1930s, and the other one's called the Post Office. And it never was a post office, but they called it a post office anyway. And these are the only two surviving structures on the property, Cabin Creek. One thing I would like you to also note is, for excellent reading on the initial occupiers of Cabin Creek, go see the book Wilderness Brothers by Minshall. Minshall. He wrote it in 2012. Makes excellent reading. All right, we're going to take a walk and look at the surviving buildings on the property. Okay, we are in the central portion of the district, kind of right in the middle of it, and the southern portion of it. And we're coming up on two structures here. And the first one will be the Wallace cabin, and the second one will be a structure they call a post office, although it never did function as a official post office. Maybe we'll be able to talk to the Forest Service in here and get some more clues about what's going on these days. But right now I'm on the trail. That's it behind me there. Came down from the airport. And it goes all the way from the airport, airstrip, all the way down to Big Creek. And I believe the distance is probably around 1 mile or so. So let's go see if anybody's home at the Forest Service cabin. Coming into the camp, this cabin right here is on the National Register of Historic Places. This cabin here is accredited to the Wallace family. And here is the local inhabitant. You see, he is a wily, cagey character, so let's approach him carefully. Here's that wily, cagey Forest Service guy. We're gonna interview him here, see if he doesn't move quickly. Sometimes they move quickly, but maybe not. What's your name, sir?
I'm Ben.
Now, Ben, what is your job?
So I'm a wilderness ranger out here in the backcountry. Myself and 2 interns do trail maintenance. For 10 days we work, and then 4 days we're off. So for 10 days we go out and do trail maintenance, and then come back for 4 days in here.
Now you say you come back. Now where do you go when you have your days off?
Yeah, when we have our days off, it's spent here at the cabin, on the compound, on the Cabin Creek drainage.
Okay. Where are your interns today?
They're
Don't tell me they're sleeping in the cabin.
They're currently working Big Creek up to Soldier Bar right now.
Oh, okay. So downstream.
Yes, sir.
And so what are you in charge of, maintaining the trails?
Maintaining trails. As a ranger, you also do airstrip censuses, where I go out and count the number of airplanes that land through the backcountry airstrips.
Did you count me this morning?
I did not. I wasn't doing the airstrip census today.
Okay. Ben.
Yes, sir.
How do you like this cabin?
It's awesome, with the exception of the mice.
You got mice?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, where's your cat?
I wish we had one out here. But
you could
we
probably
do have a rattlesnake, though.
Oh, okay. Talk to me about rattlesnakes. I've heard the rattlesnakes are up here at Cabin Creek.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. We have one resident rattlesnake called Big Bertha. It's pretty large.
Let me get that. Put those hands out again. We got to go all. This is a fish story, folks. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Lives underneath the cabin.
Really?
Haven't seen her too often here recently, but
is she friendly?
She's one of the friendliest rattlesnakes I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah.
This is fascinating. So how long you been doing this, Ben?
This is my first season as a wilderness ranger. I've worked for the Forest Service for almost 3 years, though.
And would you do that before coming into the wilderness?
I worked as a wildland firefighter on a fire engine in southern Indiana in the Hoosier National Forest, as well as on a fire engine in northwest Alabama in the Bankhead National Forest.
Wow. Okay. So why did you pick the wilderness of Idaho?
Well, 2 seasons ago, I worked in the Boise National Forest as an intern, and I loved Idaho because I got away from the humidity in the south during the summer. So I was like, I got.
So you're weak like me, huh?
That's right. Yeah.
I'm from Phoenix.
That's right. I gotta get out of the humidity in the summer. So, yeah. So I came back. I also worked in the wilderness in Alabama, the Sipsey Wilderness,
right,
trapping feral hog.
Right.
And I started falling in love with the wilderness.
Boy, that's a problem, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
A bigger problem than Big Bertha.
Right.
So did you talk to Danny and Linda? They were up in the 206 they're all over there. They said they talked to you.
Oh, yeah, they talked to me yesterday.
One night.
Yeah.
Tell me about the unfortunate airplane crash. When did it happen and where is it located?
It was, I believe, Saturday, possibly.
And today's Friday, so we're about 6 days away from the incident.
Yeah, we had a single. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're looking for the helicopter. Is that bringing the NTSB guy in today?
Mm-hmm.
It is?
I believe so, yeah.
So it was a single engine aircraft. How many people on board?
As far as I'm aware, one.
One guy?
Yeah.
Do you know what type airplane it was? Because the guys who watch this video want to know whether it was a Piper Cub, a Cessna.
Yeah, from what I gathered, it was a Cessna. I don't know the exact...
Cessna 182, 180, 185, you don't know.
Yeah.
But just one guy in it. Now, did he survive or not?
I don't know. I'm not the one who actually
that's all right.
came to the scene, so I've also been informed that I guess the sheriff's office is doing the investigation.
Sure they
are. They would have the actual official info.
I'm not going to you for official information.
Oh, no,
okay?
yeah, right.
So how do you like this cat? Now, Ben, I see stuff on the roof here that's not period correct.
That's correct.
That is not period correct. And it's got wires running into the cabin. So you want to explain yourself, mister?
Yeah, so these are 2 solar panels, portable solar panels. They power a first for a wilderness backcountry ranger station. We have Starlink internet here.
Get out of town.
Yeah,
so
satellite dish is sitting right over there.
Oh my goodness. Look at this guy. He's got all the comforts of home. There is a chopper headed our way, and he's not going to pick Ben or me up, but he may be dropping off an NTSB investigator. So what do you think? Is this a good deal for the summer? You liking it?
Oh, I love it. I love it here.
Right?
It's great.
Except for you and Big Bertha.
Big Bertha.
Are your interns okay?
Interns are cool. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they are careful not to make me mad or anything.
All right. Well, they are not coming in to rescue Benjamin or me. So, Benjamin, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for taking the time to do an interview.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Be good. Be safe. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. This is the luxurious accommodations of a U.S. Forest Service Ranger. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Ben, did you shoot this elk?
No, sir.
You got a license, Ben? I don't know what you're up to up here. Okay, we got cots. We got lots of storage. There's a fire. Somebody know how to play guitar?
That's actually historically been here.
Really?
I don't know who brought it in though. Well, by historically, I mean not as long as the cabin, but
right. Been here a while, since maybe the Wallaces, right. Or Rex Lanham was here in the 60s and the 70s. That's very interesting. Very interesting cabin. And this one was saved when it went to the wilderness. They did not destroy this cabin, and it wasn't a great example of native folk architecture, because you can see they flew in concrete, and there's concrete right there. Benjamin, I see a refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
You're not roughing it up here. I can see that.
Yeah, it's propane. We also have a propane range behind me.
Oh yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
And where's that mouse live? Maybe I can help you.
I don't even know.
I'll go back up and get my gun if you like.
I'm not sure where they live.
Ben, I'm going to let you get on with your duties. Once again, thank you, sir. Be safe out here.
Yes, sir.
Headed down to the creek. I think we've Starlink. Are you kidding me? All right. So anyway, lots of animals around here, including Big Bertha. Hopefully Big Bertha can take care of these whistle pigs and that kind of stuff. Now, this other structure, well, I assume that's an outhouse there. This other structure is the only other surviving intact structure on the property, as far as my reading from the National Register of Historic Places goes. So, and they're just using this as an equipment shed. Like I say, they did call it a post office, but it was never used as a post office. There'd be no reason to send your mail through Cabin Creek, because once it got there, it wouldn't go anywhere else. So, on down the river, see if we can catch some wildlife. I'm lost right now, or I'm not lost. There's a trail coming down from the airstrip. I wonder which way to go to the river. Oh, that way. Here we go. There we go. Grouse. I heard them clucking. Heard them talking to each other. They didn't like me coming down the trail. But, God, it's beautiful back here. Give him all the glory. All right, we're getting closer to the creek. Once again, this is probably where the Caswells graze their animals. We're getting down towards the mouth, Big Creek, where it flows. Excuse me, we're getting down to the mouth of Cabin Creek. where it flows into Big Creek. So trying to meet up with my fisher persons. Two guys I brought in here, and they're ahead of me. Now I already hear reports that there's other fishermen on the river, and this is not an easy place to get to, but if you're persistent, you can get here. We're off what I'm gonna call a bench. There's a trail coming down. This is the reason the Caswell brothers homesteaded in here. All this flat ground that they could graze their cattle on, raise a few crops, subsistence living. Now this is the secret trail to the fishing hole at Cabin Creek. Don't tell anybody. All right, so I'm going to go out here and sneak up on some trout. I'm hearing from the radio that my passengers aren't doing that well. River's right over there. All right. Evidence abounds that my passengers are nearby. I hope they're doing better. This is a section of stream I particularly wouldn't fish. Looks like it's a little quick, but there's lots of options. There's a log jam up there on the left. I'm looking for riffles. I think I'll work the bank here for a while and see if I can't get in trouble with a couple of trout. All right, here are my intrepid fishermen emerging from the mighty Big Creek, and it looks.
You didn't get that on video.
Oh no, I got nothing on video. No, your names will be protected. Don't worry. But even these guys, Craig and Bill, found it a little bit of a challenge on Big Creek today. But we're here in God's country, and you can't have more fun than this. Well, you could catch some 14-inchers, but other than that, what are you going to do? Doesn't mean you don't show up to go fishing.